Bon. Hello everybody. Quand j'étais à l'université, j'ai étudié français et espagnol también. Pero aujourd'hui, je lis un livre d'un artiste, Jean-Michel Basquiat. Okay, Jean-Michel Basquiat knew 3 languages: Français, Espanol, and English. So I'm gonna read in English because whatever be fun. One day I'm gonna try to read to y'all in Spanish. That'd be cool, or maybe even French. I am so excited to read this book to you. Bon. Aujourd'hui, je lis un livre d'un artiste, Jean-Michel Basquiat. I'm so excited to read this book. Do y'all remember Basquiat Steptoe, John Steptoe's daughter, who was all like about the Bufaro's beautiful daughter? Well, this is the son of John Steptoe, who is an author and an illustrator. And so we're gonna read this book. I'm so excited about this. Y'all really do need to grab a juice box, grab some tea, grab some wine, because we're gonna be here for a second. All right, so this book is called Radiant Child, and guess who learned how to flip the camera so y'all can actually read the words. Story of young artist Jean-Michel Basquiat. Okay, bueno. All right, so we are going to take off this cover. I'm going to read you what the author and illustrator said about the book first, and then we'll read the book. So I want you to think about the motifs and the symbolism in the book as I read the book and as you look at the pictures. Basquiat is known for his charisma, his energy, his captivating art. His work was political and expressive, a strong point of view and a message. He used letters, words, phrases, which to me is relevant because we're having a lot of graffiti done by artists and people who are artists of the day, artistes du jour, and the work is on our Confederate monuments, and the work is actually beautiful. And Jean-Michel Basquiat got his start doing graffiti art in 1977. So I think that's important to like the beauty of graffiti art in expressing political, social commentary. Jean-Michel Basquiat, he spoke from Black culture, including his influences from African diaspora, religion, art history, and folklore, improvisational jazz, bebop, hip-hop, sports, and the melting pot of New York City. So as I'm reading, I want you to look for some symbols. Like here is the crown symbol. For Basquiat, crowns represented many things such as power and strength, and he often gave crowns to others in his artwork as a sign of respect. So look for the crown when I'm reading. Eyes are often represented remembering, seeing, or understanding the past or the present. So look for eyes. And cars, trucks, and airplanes often symbolize Basquiat's childhood and the car accident that badly injured him, which we'll talk about in a minute. So in this book, the artistry is not Basquiat's, but it's Javaka's. I hope I'm doing that right. His artwork, which is inspired by Jean-Michel. So we're gonna get to it. So settle down. I see you, KDB. All right. It's gonna be awesome. Jean-Michel Basquiat. Radiant Child. Jean-Michel Basquiat used bits of New York City to create the artwork for this book. This is the author talking. I painted on richly textured pieces of found wood harvested from discarded Brooklyn Museum exhibit materials, the dumpsters of Brooklyn brownstones, and the streets of Greenwich Village in the Lower East Side. In this way, I invite my readers to create using materials, people, and places in their own environment. So that's a good project for you adults and kids alike. Create some art with some found objects. While you will not find reproductions of actual Basquiat artwork in this book, you will find the original pieces of Javaka Steptoe that were inspired by Jean-Michel Basquiat. So let's get to it. The story of young artist Jean-Michel Basquiat. For all you New Yorkers, you might be noticing some things. Somewhere in Brooklyn, between hearts that thump, double dutch, and hopscotch, the salty mouths that slurp sweet ice, a little boy dreams of being a famous artist. The illustrations are so beautiful. In his house, you can tell that he is a serious artist. You can tell a serious artist dwells. As he sits at a table with pencils scattered everywhere, Jean-Michel draws from morning until night with a serious face amid a storm of papers. He refuses to sleep until he has created a masterpiece. Does this look like anybody's room? With papers on the wall, on the bed? At night, images enchant Jean-Michel's mind as he wakes from his dreams to add one more line. His drawings are not neat or clean, nor does he color inside the lines. They are sloppy, ugly, and sometimes weird, but still beautiful. His art comes from his mother, Matilde, a Puerto Rican woman who designs and sews, cooks and cleans, and makes a house look like a stylish magazine. But most important, she lies on the floor and draws with Jean-Michel and his father's old work papers. We're reading Radiant Child, the story of Jean-Michel Basquiat. From her, he learns that art is not only in the poetry books she reads to him or in the theaters and museums they visit. Art is in the street games of little children, in our style and in the words we speak. It's how the messy patchwork of the city creates new meaning of ordinary things. This reminds me of Tar Beach also. While visiting the museum, they look at his favorite works of art. Reading the story behind each artist, reading the story behind each work, this is how Jean-Michel learns what it means to be a famous artist. This is a famous painting by Pablo Picasso called Guernica. It was at the MoMA, the Museum of Modern Art in New York City, but now it's at the Museo Reina Sofia de Madrid. So this piece of work is in the museum in Madrid now. Trying to figure out how to hold a book since I flipped it. Back at home, he creates art on the floor as his father, Gerard, I'll just say the English way, plays jazz records. Mama Matilde cooks arroz con pollo and calls Jean-Michel, mi amor. The energy and life of the city can be felt in each line of his drawings. So remember, these are not Basquiat's artwork. It's the artwork of the illustrator who is John Steptoe's son, Javaka, who lives in New York City. As time goes by, Jean-Michel learns that art has healing power. After a car accident, he is scared and confused. Matilde gives him a book to calm his fears. It is filled with pictures of bones, skulls, and other body parts. Jean-Michel draws from it until he knows it all by heart and he is no longer afraid. The book that his mother Matilde gave to him was called Gray's Anatomy. It's a medical book for all of you adults watching. It's a nice connection. Back at home, book this way. Back at home, Jean-Michel's body heals, but his heart breaks. his mother's mind is not well and the family breaks. She no longer lies on the floor and draws with Jean-Michel, but sits by the window singing only to birds. Jean-Michel is confused and filled with a terrible blues when Mathilde can no longer live at home. And look at this, the heart is breaking. His heart is breaking, I should say. He tries drawing the terrible out of his blues, but things are just not the same. As Jean-Michel grows older, he visits his mother when he can, always bringing his artwork to show, telling her that one day it will be in a museum when I am a famous artist. Have you all seen any of the symbols that I mentioned in the beginning? The crown, the eye, or what was the other symbol that we need to watch out for? Oh, cars, trucks, and airplanes. Cars, trucks, and airplanes have a special meaning for Basquiat, and there's one right there. See if you see any more symbols on this page. We're reading Radiant Child, the story of Jean-Michel Basquiat, who lived in New York City. And I chose this book because we're having a lot of graffiti art on our Confederate monuments in Richmond, Virginia, and it's just beautiful. And Jean-Michel Basquiat got his start in 1977 with some graffiti art. So I just thought that making something beautiful was important to share. When I am a famous artist, I love that line too, Gwen. Thank y'all for coming to the classroom today. As a teenager now, Jean-Michel decides, Papa, I will be very, very famous one day. With a sly look and a twinkle in his eye, Jean-Michel leaves Brooklyn for New York City, the Lower East Side, a concrete jungle where only the tough survive. See if you can find any symbols in here. This is written by Javaka Steptoe, who was Biwila's brother and John Steptoe's son. So they have a lot of artists in the family. So I'm looking for some of the symbols that that Basquiat liked to put in his drawings. His paintings, rather. His collages. During the day, dressed in a green jumpsuit splattered with paint, Jean-Michel stays with friends, sleeping on couches and floors, leaving a barrage of collages and poem-filled papers everywhere he goes. Does that look like some of y'all's rooms, houses, with all your artwork and thinking all over the walls and the floor and the couch and everything? At night, Jean-Michel spray paints the walls downtown with poems and drawings that catch the eye of artists, gallery goers, and passers-by. Under his art, he signs the name Samo instead of Jean-Michel. Everybody wants to know, who is Samo? There's a car in that collage, a couple of cars in that collage. This is a total New York City scene. Lower East Side. This so reminds me of what's happening in Richmond and lots of other cities. Samo moves from street corners to art gallery walls with powerful color composition and line, collaging and painting on anything he can find. His art is still not neat or clean, and definitely not inside the lines, but somehow still beautiful. I like the way the author makes some of the words big, like to emphasize them. Beautiful. It's not neat, it's not in between the lines, and yet it's beautiful. Here's another one. Magical. With his magical charm, Jean-Michel draws a crowd. I'm trying to figure out how to do the book. But when it's time to work, he prefers to be alone with the radio and TV on full blast. That might be a lesson to us parents, to let the kids work in the way that they need to. Now, in expensive suits splattered with paint, he flips through stacks of magazines and opens books and paints into the night, and sometimes for days at a time, while sounds and images jump into his head. Y'all feel like that sometimes? Words and sounds and phrases and images just pop into your head, and you have to get up and do something about it. You have to write something, you have to create. There's a crown. Remember we were looking for crowns? There's a crown. Haven't seen any eyes. Jean-Michel, an artist among artists, never doubts one line, creating from a soundtrack that is all his own. People describe him as radiant, wild, a genius child, but in his heart he is king, so he draws crowns for himself and others he admires. I love that. Crowns. Like the church ladies wear crowns. This way. A grown man now with the art world in his hands, Jean-Michel still visits his mother when he can. And at his most important shows, above all the critics, fans, and artists he admires, the place of honor is his mother, a queen on the throne. He is now a famous artist. There he is. I flipped the book, so now I need to reorient myself. There he is with the mother. Look at how complex the collage is. As a project, you all should try to make a collage. Painting a collage of your environment, of the street you live on. So Jean-Michel Basquiat was again an artist who did a lot of work. A lot of his work was around politics, the Black diaspora, African American diaspora. He was very political in his artwork, providing social commentary and political commentary. He was friends with Andy Warhol and Keith Harding and all of those folks. He just had lots of fame, and now his paintings are, sell for lots of money. But he grew up just listening to the drum beat in his own mind and just really going after his passion, this thing, when I'm a famous artist, he just kept going. And his parents, his mother in particular, supported him. So again, I just thought that this was just such a terrific book to read in terms of the community artwork that's happening in cities all across the world, really, but especially here in Richmond. And I just think it's so beautiful to see all of the community members coming out and creating something beautiful where there was once heartache and sadness and trauma, and and using that art to be a political, social commentary on the lives of African American folks in particular, but people in the diaspora who were just not seen, right? So using art to be seen. So Jean-Michel Basquiat. Friday, I'm gonna read a book, Thunder Rose by Kadir Nelson, and Kadir Nelson illustrated the Time magazine cover and a couple of other covers. He has beautiful artwork. I'm just going to show you. I think I have a autographed copy of his book. I'm going to go into Danielle's room. And so Kadir Nelson is the illustrator of this poster, Thunder Rose, which is the cover of the book by the same name, Thunder Rose. So I'm going to read Kadir Nelson. I think I said Harding. Kadir Nelson on Friday, Juneteenth. Thunder Rose in homage to like just the strong women and men, girls and boys among us. So thank y'all for coming to the classroom to read Radiant Child by Story of Young Artist Jean-Michel Basquiat by Javaka Steptoe. I just love this book. And I want you all to do some artwork, to whether it's writing or singing or painting or collage. Just do something, like feed your soul. All right? I don't know how to deal with this camera right now. All right, thank y'all. Love y'all. Thanks for listening.